Thank you very much, gentlemen. I am here with Afromoo to talk about the win that CLG was just able to acquire up against Echo Fox. How are you and the CLG boys feeling after that victory?
We're all right. It was an okay 2-0. Had some unlucky decisions, mainly in team fights and setting up for like objectives that we're going for. So I think we're known for like getting ace and still winning the game, but you know, shit.
It's the win that still matters, right? The W on the screen at the end of the game, that's what we're all concerned about. That's what all the CLG fans are happy to see you guys walking away with. And now last week, we heard from McSmithy. He was saying that the team is making a lot of excuses for why the wins aren't showing up. What are you guys, as a team, as a group, doing to address those problems and fix those issues so you can keep finding these wins?
Excuses-wise, I don't think there's a lot of that, but obviously you'll have something to blame, blah, blah, blah. But it's just making sure that we are coming together and being consistent since, you know, we know that we can be there, and it's just about being consistent for us.
And in terms of consistency, that's one thing that's really interesting to talk to, especially about the CLG roster, because you guys are one of the only rosters that was just like, no, we're sticking with the same 5 guys. We're going to be rolling with this into the next split. We think we can make this work. How do you feel that you guys are doing in terms of getting that level of consistency to the point where it is just game after game after game? Do you feel like you're closing in significantly on breaking new ground with that and becoming one of those like rock solid types of teams?
Yeah, definitely. That's what every team aspires to be, especially us. And upcoming for playoffs, I think if we win win Sunday, we'll definitely be in playoffs, something like that. But it'll be fun, and I do expect us to do a lot better than what the entire season so far has shown.
All right, speaking of playoffs, I got one last question for y'all. Heading to playoffs, obviously the goal here. Next week, you guys, well, not next week, I should say 2 days from now, this week, you guys are going to be going up against FlyQuest, the team that you are very, very close with in the standings. Okay. How do you feel about that one? Is there any special prep going into that? Anything you can share with us about the CLG approach to the FlyQuest game on Sunday?
I think me personally, I hate playing FlyQuest only because High always makes super aggressive calls. And usually, shot calling wise, I think High and Mata have only been the ones to give me a hard time, only because they always make you decide between doing this or doing that. And it's after every time they reset from the base, they instantly decide to do something. So usually that's pretty mind boggling and takes a toll, especially in the long series. But I expect it'll be fun.
Well, I wish you the best of luck in that mental battle, my friend. To you and to the entire squad from CLG, congratulations on the win today. Best of luck on Sunday, and we're going to go ahead and throw things over to the analyst desk now.
Thank you very much, Captain Flowers. A battle of the shot callers to come on Sunday. It's a nice little tee up there, and it's always wonderful to hear about how High can stretch people around the match. But today is about CLG crafting a 2-0 victory over Echo Fox. Again, not in the cleanest of fashions, but they do manage to pull it all together and kind of continue their climb here at the later stages of the season.
I kind of tend to agree with Afromoo. This was an okay 2-0. I mean,
yes, exactly.
They did not dominate, right? And CLG is always one of those teams. They have super high highs, but they have some pretty low lows. You know, he's like, oh yeah, we're the team that gets aced but still wins the game. I mean, it's rare to see a team that can come back from that, but you always kind of have to think, hey, how good would they look if they clean that stuff up? If they're not getting double killed in a 2v2 randomly at the start of the game.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. 4:45 into the game. Once again, Echo Fox 2-0. In the bot lane here. And again, we talk about just the comparison of these two bot lanes on paper. People were talking about Afromoo Stixxay #1 bot lane coming into the split.
I mean, Stixxay was talking about that. And I mean, Afro, this was not okay. Like, I think, yes, like the hook is fine. Okay, it looks funny because he misses by a lot, but like
you're picking a direction.
And I mean, the fact of the matter is, you should realize that you're going to lose this fight, and you should be flashing out early. Stixxay, I mean, obviously he thought he was out of range of the volley there, but if they very quickly back into this fight, yes, it's bad for their lane as far as giving up farm and giving up CS, but giving up 2 kills like that is not okay.
Exactly.
I mean, and when you're playing against a better team, you don't get to come back from that, right? Like if you give that up to C9, usually the game just ends because your bot lane gets so far behind. Echo Fox was able to get not only both the bot bot lane turrets off that, then go mid and get a turret too,
Right.
right? Like, if you give that kind of a lead to a better team, you lose, period.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's the major point there is the fact that the recovery becomes a lot less possible as you move up the standings and when we get into the playoff picture and you're playing in a best of 5 against C9 and TSM, teams that are not going to afford you as many opportunities to claw your way back into it, like Echo Fox will. And we saw that happen. 19 minutes into the game, ace in favor of CLG, 5 for 1 around the Dragon Pit here.
And one thing I gotta give a lot of credit to Smithy for is I can't think of another player who has stolen more objectives throughout the year.
Even in this game, he was going off.
He seems to be stealing Barons and Dragons all the time, and Huhi, with some pretty sweet play on the Talon, actually looked super good this game. I think across the board, he was playing very, very well. And it was one of the first times I actually saw the Talon, and I was like, damn, that pick makes sense. That like, you know, it worked. It looked really good.
Absolutely, yeah. And so this is what you were talking about, though, this ability to claw back into the game. Of course, it's not like that right there was the game ender. We've got to move forward to 28-20 here. Fox wins the fight. Dying at Baron, though, you know, this was all kinds of crazy.
The weird thing about this one for me was that CLG had Huhi take 2 turrets, and he was on the inhibitor. CLG's 4-man squad just needs to disengage while Huhi takes that inhibitor or try to delay them. Instead, they decide to collapse to the fight. They're on a different page. Huhi's in by himself. Like, they're going very disjointed into this fight. So, you know, to me, I think that A, they shouldn't have taken the fight probably in the first place, and B, when they did, it was not very well done. That said, most players are going to remember how this next part went.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, these are some of the mistakes that you're saying that still exist with CLG, and we want to see them, you know, kind of fix those minor errors in terms of, oh, there's not a whole lot of communication clearly on this engage, but this an even larger issue.
Yeah, I mean, everyone stacks up essentially here. They are pretty low from that fight, which is the major issue. Darshan is full health coming back into this, and the overheating flame spitter that he gets off is just so punishing to these people in the back line. He takes out multiple members. He's able to get so much damage done, and not only does he end up getting a quadra, but Smithy just wanders on in and smites the Baron away. And I mean, yes, the game did not end off this play, but the game was over.
Exactly. That's the key there, right? I mean, 4 kills going over to a Rumble. We've seen what gold on that champion can do. Once again, you've let Smithy steal away a second objective in just this single game. I mean, from a mental standpoint, I'm defeated. Yeah. You know, now from a gold standpoint, I'm defeated. There in that stage of the game, or in the series, Echo Fox, really, I think it's all downhill.
Yeah, definitely. And I do want to give some credit to CLG as far as how they played with that Baron. I actually thought that their siege, their split pressure was excellent as far as buffing up the Baron minions in the mid lane constantly, Huhi always threatening there, using the Thresh plus Ezreal combo to always get a couple autos off on every single wave, then Lantern out. I thought that a lot of what they did in this game was excellent, but it's marred by the fact that they have some very big errors.
Right, yeah, some lower tier teams can definitely take a look at the kind of the final 5 minutes of that game to see how to close a game. You got one inhib down, split up the Baron buff.
So well
the Baron buff. And those are the elements of CLG that have remained constant, right? These higher level macro strategy elements, we've seen glimpses of brilliance throughout this entire split, just as we have seen in the past. It's those micro mistakes. It's those 2v2 skirmishes. It's the weird pick here or something like that that's really kind of hindering their split.
And their strength is almost sometimes their weakness too, because we like to talk about how much their team play, right? And sometimes they overcommit to the call.
Right.
And yeah, you do want to be on the same page, but that's how you see these random 15-minute aces against CLG and stuff, where it's like everyone's piling into what may not be a bad fight. So I think that while it's fantastic to all be on the same page, you do sometimes have to be able to cut your losses and say, you know what? He's dead.
Exactly.
Leave.
Now, we had a couple front runners for player of the game this time around. We're looking at who he is, one of them, but Darshan ultimately going to grab the award here. Again, that score line on the Rumble, you consider that fight there between him, Smithy, against the world to secure the Baron. It's hard not to give it to him.
It really is. And I mean, he did very well in the early game. He was winning his lane quite heavily. And even roaming around the map, he still stayed pretty even or ahead in CS. Then he was massive in the late game team fights, had great equalizers. The guy had a great game.
From here on out, the story for CLG is that back to that strength of schedule from the beginning of the day, right? They have the easiest or second easiest. They had the easiest. Dignitas that had the second easiest. That's correct. So having the easiest remaining schedule, you're looking at playing teams like Envy. I mean, that 11-7 record is not outside the realm of possibility it comes to playoffs.
It's not, but it's CLG. You got to remember, if they play TSM, they play like TSM. If they play Envy, They play like Envy, so you never know what you're gonna get.
Exactly.
They could be 11-7,
They're-
but they could lose their last 3.
Jat also talked about parity in the league, this being
Yeah.
the second closest split by numbers so far in the North American LCS. It definitely feels like anything could happen. Ladies and gentlemen, before we close out the day, let's take a look at the rankings to see how the teams stack up. After their win today, CLG pulled themselves into 4th place. Team Dignitas continues their hold of 6th, while Echo Fox and Team Liquid remain in 8th and 9th. We'll see which teams can continue their push for playoffs with our games tomorrow. Starting with Cloud9 versus Immortals on NALCS 1, TSM going against FlyQuest later in the day. Over on NALCS 2, Team Envy look to best a surging Team Dignitas. Then the Battle Theater plays host to Team Liquid versus Phoenix 1. That was a mouthful. Particular game tomorrow that you're looking at, that you're ultra hyped for.
Both of the H-Stream ones I'm really excited for. I think that for both Immortals and FlyQuest in particular needs to stop their losses if they want to even make the playoffs to this point.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us this evening. Hope to see you all tomorrow. For myself, the Casters' entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching the North American LCS. Good work.